haven't seen any of it at all.
Yeah.
My Miles didn't show me. So I don't know if it's anything like the stuff I've been getting off my own sources.
Oops.
Okay, you want to know who we are?
I've forgotten myself. Which ID do you want?
Hi, I'm Lisa Williams.
And Barry King.
So Barry, let's get going. What about the what's happening?
Well, for the last 18, 19 months, I've been trying to get some information out to the public. Information regarding a certain secret installation over in Berkshire, the base. At the base, they run a social manipulation program. Includes brainwashing, genetic engineering, genetic experimentation. They've also been involved in creating life forms there for quite some time. The program is behind a lot of the abductions that take place. A lot of abductions are military organised and executed. I was involved with this program between the years 72 and 88. With the help of some defence intelligence people, I managed to get out away from the program, and with their help, a lot of information, as I say, has been passed out now to the public since February of last year.
Why is this being passed out to the public if it's secret and nobody's going to know about it?
Well, basically because certain people within the structure of that program don't like what's going on, and so they're trying to use researchers themselves to try and actually break open the program. It's happening in the States as well, on a much larger scale, obviously.
Because Mary Seal said that when she tried to do the Global Deception Conference.
Yeah. Well, I contacted Mary Seal during '93, thinking she was the perfect person to get this sort of information out. I could only do this information release in stages. Mary wanted the whole lot all in one go.
I'm Mary Seal, and I'm one of the organisers of the Global Deception Conference, which took place at Wembley on the 9th and 10th of January of 1993. This video consists of an introduction to an extremely serious and complex situation existing worldwide today, which affects every human being on this planet, regardless of race, creed or colour. And I shall also discuss briefly the topic of mind control and brainwashing techniques in part 2. Actually, the topic of mind control must be understood by you within its proper context in order for you to appreciate the enormous manipulations and total deceptions being perpetrated against you and I, the ordinary citizens. However, it is my contention that your and my very future depends upon you looking into these facts for yourself, reaching your own conclusions, and not accepting the opinions of those who out of necessity will attempt to ridicule and suppress genuine information. My introduction to part 2 of these Global Deception tapes will concentrate on mind control and brainwashing techniques being used in secret against the ordinary citizens worldwide. You will say, what proof is there to back up these incredible claims? Actually, the proof is enormous if you search for it. Back in 1950, the newly formed CIA entered the nefarious activity of brainwashing and mind control with Project Bluebird, later rechristened Artichoke in 1951. Of course, to establish a cover story for this research, the CIA also funded a propaganda effort designed to convince the world that the communist bloc had devised insidious new methods of reshaping the human will, and you may remember reading something about this topic. The logic behind this was that the CIA's own efforts could therefore, if exposed, be explained as an attempt to catch up with Soviets and Chinese work. When the CIA mind control program was transferred from the Office of Security to the Technical Service Staff in 1953, the name changed again to MK Ultra, and this is where many of you may have heard this name by your own research or by reading about it in the newspapers. Of course, many people today consider this octopus project, whose tentacles twine through the corridors of numerous universities and around the necks of an army of scientists, to be the most ominous operation ever carried out in the CIA's catalogue of atrocity. Just as many people believe that after public exposure of these activities, further research was discontinued. The truth of the matter is that with and through MK Ultra, the agency, with the collaboration of other agencies worldwide, including the British ones, created an umbrella program designed to arrive at the complete control and manipulation of the human brain, and therefore individual actions and beliefs. What was being researched by these agencies to arrive at this nefarious scope? Hypnosis, conditioning, sensory deprivation, drugs, religious cults, microwave technology, psychosurgery, brain implants, ESP, and most nefarious of all, psychoelectronics. I believe that their past and present activities will prove to be the key to our understanding of so many of the current belief systems which are springing up everywhere, and will also provide an explanation for the so-called paranormal phenomena which seems to abound greatly today. Enormous amounts of appropriated and unappropriated money was poured into this research, and prominent scientists and psychiatrists were handpicked with the specific criteria that each person's ethics must be such that he would completely cooperate in any phase of the program, regardless of how extreme it was to be. One such scientist was Jose Delgado, a Yale University psychologist whose vision was to perfect techniques for making not only animals but humans respond to electrically transmitted commands. And perhaps the most outrageous piece of evidence surrounding the so-called UFO abduction phenomena, where many thousands of truthful and honest individuals worldwide are reporting being taken against their will into some kind of spaceship and subjected to various experiments, are the intercerebral implants visible on X-rays and MRI scans of many of these abductees. Indeed, abductees often describe operations in which needles are inserted into the brain or through the sinus cavity. Many so-called abduction specialists and UFO researchers today assume incorrectly the work of scientists from the stars, as unfortunately do many of the victims themselves. The reality is that we have to credit Dr. Jose Delgado with the invention of a miniature depth electrode which, when inserted into the brain, can receive and transmit electronic signals. Dr. Jose Delgado has published more than 200 scientific works describing techniques for electronically and chemically influencing the brain. To quote directly from Delgado's own words, autonomic and somatic functions, individual and social behavior, emotional and mental reactions may be evoked, maintained, modified, or inhibited, both in animals and in man, by electrical stimulation of specific cerebral structures. Physical control of many brain functions is a demonstrated fact. It is even possible to follow intentions, the development of thoughts, and visual experiences. To continue with Delgado's own words, by electrical stimulation of specific cerebral structures, movements can be induced by radio command, hostility may appear or disappear, social hierarchy can be modified, sexual behavior may be changed, and memory, emotions, and the thinking process may be influenced by remote control. When you bear in mind that all of the above was a provable reality back in the 1960s, you will appreciate the type of technology available today after more than 30 years of further research and testing. In October 1990, a medical investigative group from Stockholm published a research paper which was originally intended for circulation amongst university and the mass media, but which was conveniently ignored by all except a few honest researchers, describing their findings of a study conducted into mind control in Sweden alone. They say that for at least 25 years, doctors at hospitals in Sweden have used patients without their knowledge for long-lasting experiments. Their documentation consists of complete proof that doctors at hospitals in Sweden have been placing brain transmitters into the head of patients. This is just one example of proof available today of the grave crimes being committed against humanity, which constitute a violation of all human rights. In case you are shocked and you may think that this information must be false, that I am exaggerating, or that it is all too far-fetched for you to believe, then I would recommend that you try to obtain a report directly from NASA's Office of Technology Utilization, published in 1970 and entitled Implantable Biotelemetry Systems. You will find in Chapter 9 something called radio transmissions from inside the body. What we are addressing here is the grave problem facing us of efforts being deliberately made for the creation of a psycho-civilized, mind-controlled society. Scientists at the Brain Research Institute of the University of California took up the investigation of the effects of oscillating fields on human behavior many, many years ago, following the Soviet research since 1933 into the effects of microwave radiation and the way in which microwaves can affect the central nervous system. They discovered that microwave radiation, even of low intensity, can seriously alter the normal rhythm of brain waves, causing hallucinations and drastic perceptual changes, including a loss of the sense of time. Subjected to ultrasonic or very low frequency waves, an entire population could be lulled into a state of drowsiness by the unperceived waves. And of course, radio and television could become normal channels of mass hypnosis and could even be used to implant suggestions to control the behavior of an entire nation. Can this be a possibility today? In order for us to determine what kind of technology exists today which could be used for electronic control of the mind, I will now read from a document which was recently published by the Association of National Security Alumni, entitled Microwave Harassment and Mind Control Experimentation. The information to prove the existence of directed energy weapons was found in a white paper published in 1991 by the U.S. Global Strategy Council, a Washington-based organization under the chairmanship of Ray Klein, former deputy director of the CIA, who maintains very close ties with the U.S. intelligence community. The white paper describes the foreign and domestic uses foreseen for laser weapons, isotropic radiators, infrasound, non-nuclear electromagnetic pulse generators, and high-power microwave emitters. We discussed these non-conventional directed energy weapons with Mr. Vernon Schisler, an Army delegate to NATO. Mr. Schisler acknowledged that directed energy weapons were in the military's arsenal. Research into the biological and psychological effects of exposure to microwave radiation is voluminous. The public actually has been led to believe that the former Soviet Union leads in this research. The fact is that the CIA and Department of Defense have jointly pursued precisely the same research since the early 1950s. The current primary users of this research appear to be the CIA, the DoD, the National Security Agency, or NSA, who incidentally are operating in the UK right at this moment, the Department of Energy, and of course we haven't talked about the British agencies. In 1973, the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research discovered that externally induced auditory input could be achieved by means of microwave audiograms. The effect on the receiving end is the so-called schizophrenic sensation of hearing voices, which are not part of the recipient's own thought processes. This research has continued, and some of the results are published in various publicly available scientific and technological journals. You will probably think now that what I have described must be an American phenomenon, and that this sort of thing could never happen in Britain today. Unfortunately, this is not the case. In a Ministry of Defence publication called the British Defence Equipment Catalogue, up till 1983, when it was mysteriously stopped, there were advertised radio frequency weapons. Radio frequency, by the way, is an extremely low frequency wave. One such weapon, called a Squawk Box, is a British version of an American weapon tested during the Vietnam War. As a matter of fact, the Ministry of Defence requested from Parliament £40 million in 1984, which was specifically allocated to frequency weapons. To close off this very disturbing subject, I will read directly from Dr. Delgado's research book, Physical Control of the Mind Towards a Psycho-Civilized Society. By means of an electrical stimulation of the brain, it is possible to evoke not only simple responses, but also complex and well-organized behavior, which is undistinguishable from spontaneous activity. Behavior such as aggression can be evoked or inhibited. Science fact, not science fiction. The possibility of scientific annihilation of personal identity, or even worse, its purposeful control, must be considered one of the most serious threats existing today. The prospect of any degree of physical control on the mind provides a variety of objections. Theological, because it affects free will. Moral, because it affects individual responsibility. Ethical, because it may block self-defense mechanisms. And philosophical, because it threatens personal identity.
Defence intelligence said, well, how about a slow but sure way, release some newsletters over a period of time. So that's how The Voice was born. And they've been produced ever since.
So, in essence, this information that we're getting is officially approved information as such, or unofficially officially approved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They would deny it if they were...
Obviously, anyone connected with the programme would strongly deny its very existence.
So why are they doing this? I mean, on the way up here, we saw some posters of an alien, I think Lisa...
There's an alien, there's a poster around in North London, it's in several places in North London, it's got an alien's face, a grey's face, it says, beam me up, I cannot breathe, and it's got a free phone number, which is 0800 391 371 964. And you phone it up and all it says is, it is not safe for our children, we have found a better place. Now I thought it was some kind of publicity thing for a record or gig, so I phoned up Telecom. Telecom didn't know anything about it. I phoned Oftel, because I said basically, I made out I was complaining, just so I could find out more information, because I said, you know, if a child phoned it up because it's a free phone number, it could scare them. So what the hell is going on, because I just wanted to find out what was going on. And they said that they don't know what the heck it is. It's a private person who's paying for the line. Obviously they're subsidising all the calls that they're getting. They've obviously got something to say. Whether they're going to have a series of ongoing messages, I don't know. Or whether it is just a publicity stunt for a band, it could be.
Been an attitude where the governments wish to inform the people that there is aliens, UFOs, all the rest of it, but they can't come straight out and say so. So they do it in a roundabout way in this public education programme.
So let's get back to actually how you got into the situation that you're in today. Where does it start? And bring us up to
That's
date.
a very complicated thing, because I've virtually been involved in a sort of government survey since I was a very young child, and this survey is ongoing today. They chose certain individuals during the 50s to take part in this genetic survey. So obviously by the time I was old enough to become part of the real genetic experimentation, in 1972, that's when the programme actually took over, but it still runs side by side. This government survey, one runs in this country and the same thing is run in the States. And the programme virtually took over, 1972 onwards. Part and parcel of it, it's all part of
these
that.
little greys we're making.
Yeah.
To lead us to all think there's an alien threat.
Okay.
Yeah, well that's, as I say, that is part and parcel of that same indoctrination programme.
Yeah.
It's mind manipulation.
Yeah.
They are playing with people's minds.
Yeah.
They are using genetic engineering and experimentation. They're using spare parts. That's another nasty side of things. In the mid 80s, they saw a very good way of getting in quite a lot of capital was to, because there's always a shortage with spare parts, organs.
For who?
The rich and famous.
That's right.
I mean, they might in the past they had difficulties, you know, badly need a liver, badly need this or that or whatever.
I mean, the film Coma was about that.
Exactly. I mean, that got so near to what is really going on, you really wouldn't believe it.
It's also happened to a friend of mine in 2007, and since then I found out it's happened to quite a few people in different cities around England. I think personally I was targeted before I went into hospital, but a hospital was definitely a key. My friend also went into hospital with a broken wrist. Obviously wasn't there that long, but trouble seemed to start and her house was cleared, the same way as mine, shortly after she'd been in hospital. So that seems to be a very common denominator.
So how many people died in one night? 5, you mentioned.
At one point when I was in hospital, there was 5 in one night, and considering it as a ward for broken bones and very mixed age groups. It wasn't all elderly, like some wards you expect it when they're elderly people. But most people I said were broken bones and didn't have anything else wrong with them. It was like very minor things. Some might have had asthma, but not badly.
And what kind of age group are we dealing with?
Well, anything over 18, most were over 20. But a very varied age group, I'd say from over 20.
What kind of drugs can you remember them?
Yeah, it's paracetamol mixed with tridamol. 2 of each. And you're only supposed to eat 8 of each in 24 hours.
And you were given how many in 24 hours?
The first day it was every 2 hours, and the next day was nearly every hour. And so at one point they even tried to give me 2 lots at the same time. And I just looked at them and went, oops. I thought, I'll give you oops.
So, how did you uniquely survive this?
I found out when I was quite young, I was in hospital when I was 15. I seem to have a gene, I can't be poisoned. And fair enough, my youngest son is the same. And they found that out in hospital. Whether anybody else has got this gene or uniqueness, I don't know.
So what's the issue?
Well, we named it Auschwitz because that's what it seemed to be like. Nobody was getting out of there unless they were dying.
Yeah, literally so many people disappear off the face of the earth. A percentage of those people, they go into the base, they don't come out.
Why do you think they want to screen everyone to find out what their blood groups are and everything? It's not, you know, what's the
It's a
point
very
otherwise?
lucrative business, and that's just a sideline of the project.
So where do the aliens come in?
Well, that's the big thing, you see. The main aims of this project is to manipulate the public's mind in a way that, yeah, there is a threat. It's from outer space. And they're perpetuating that threat. That, yeah, aliens, they're hostile, they're doing this, they're doing that. It isn't at all. The threat is really here on Earth. It's the project that's doing it.
And they are creating these generated life forms.
They've made quite a few, various sorts of life forms at the base, yeah.
So how do you know this information, and have you seen anything?
I've actually been to the base. I worked there between August and December of '79 in a security capacity.
Are you able to say which base?
Well, it's officially known as Peasmore, and when you came out with that I thought, crikey. That's its official title, is Peasmore.
And where is this?
This is in Berkshire.
And is this a big base? Is it?
Well, remember the time frame I was there and what I was allowed to see and what information has been leaked to me to pass out.
So was this introduced? Were you introduced to this so that you would tell us? It's like Bob Lazar.
No. Initially, no, because I had to sign the Official Secrets Act in July of '79, and I was told I'll be seeing, obviously, information, locations, personnel, files, etc., that literally I'd be bound by that Official Secrets Act. I couldn't breathe a word of anything I saw, heard, felt, touched, whatever.
So, in what capacity were you employed at the base?
As security officer.
So that gave you access to all
Limited,
over the place.
yeah. I mean, obviously there were certain levels of security. I had 2 different levels, 9 and 31. The higher number, the higher clearance you get. So obviously after a while I was allowed to see different areas, certainly of the base. And by the time December '79 came round, then yes, I'd had a pretty good picture of the whole base.
So, what sort of scale are we dealing with here?
Well, again, during that time frame, the underground part of the base, it was 450 yards by 650 yards and going down 6 levels.
So that's about 600 feet.
It's quite big. I think there's 50, 60 feet between each level, so it's going down quite
Yeah,
some.
yes, of course.
But
yeah.
I was told during the mid-80s that had been worked on anyway. I mean, they could have doubled the size of the place by then.
Let's
very
believe
easily.
about 8 or 9 now.
Yeah, very easily. Could have been doubled. There could be a dozen levels by now.
So these bases were obviously created during the Cold War for government and things. Just
Well, this one was completed. I mean, they used an old base in Hampshire from the 50s onwards. That was an old war base. Too small, and the facilities weren't so good there. So they actually, in the 60s and 70s, they made use of another existing base close by until this Peasmore was completed.
It was a Marston, was it?
No, that wasn't the Marston.
So how are these bases interlinked?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
By tunnels or?
Yeah, tunnels. Again, see, what you'll find with Peasmore is, because it's virtually 99% underground, you're going to see very little on the surface. But you're going to get to one of the adjoining bases, and it's from that adjoining base that you get to Peasmore. So I wanted to people have actually been over to Berkshire recently to do a bit of scouting around. Now, one or two words have come in that, A, we've not found anything at all, but we found another interesting base, and we've got into a little bit of trouble by poking our noses around there.
Now, we were going to go there today, but you declined to do that.
Yeah, as I said, I've had two implants, one in 76 and one in 79.
And where were these?
Well, one's behind my sternum. Now, when that one was implanted, it's crushed slightly this side of my chest. And I had a major heart attack in 1980 as a result of that being placed there. Now, that was done deliberately, so I'd get to know that I could only stray so far without them actually doing something about it. They can initiate a heart attack anywhere in the country. I could be right up the north of Scotland and they can just flick a switch, bang, and away I go. Another one was implanted in 79 in my head. I mean, they both operate on the tracking principle, but one can actually, as I say, trigger a heart attack.
So how was the one in the head placed?
Well, again, general, just straightforward surgery. They use advanced laser type surgery, so that's no problem at all. Yeah. I mean, they implant so many hundreds of people. I mean, the scale of implantation is incredible.
In what is the scale then?
Well, obviously every employee there below a certain level has been implanted, and they drag in. I gave out a list of names in one of the documents of people who are working for the program, even as of today. These people don't know they're working for the program, but they've been implanted. They'll continue to work.
So obviously, I mean, if some of these people found out that you said that they were doing something and they were to deny that, surely they could take a lawsuit against you, say that this is whatever you do.
I think that would be a quite interesting thing. That they certainly could. Yeah, then that would be blown then, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If these people are working for the base and they don't know it, in what capacity are they working, and how do they actually blank out the memory? Because
It's a controlled. They're simply
but do they
controlled.
actually? Where would they think that they worked?
Oh, they know they're working.
Oh
at the
right,
base.
yeah. They don't
it's
know they're
just that-
involved in the program.
yeah,
Yeah,
they know, yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
It's just that they're totally
No, I had
controlled.
this vision of like 9 to 5ers. You know.
Oh no. Oh, no. No, even in the admin, it's all security people.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning earlier about being strapped in, some kind of mind
Oh, that's the
control.
trip seat.
The trip seat. Now, what's that? Is that anything like the Montauk chair that the Americans claim that they've done mind experiments
yeah,
in
well, I
Montauk?
don't know too much on that, unfortunately. I only know from what I've seen. The trip seat is basically, you're interfacing with very powerful computers.
Was that manufactured by ITT? Do you have any idea?
I couldn't say. No, I wouldn't know.
And what sort of time scale are we dealing with here?
Well, again, I'm basing most of this between, as I say, 79 and 81. 81 was literally the end of it. Basically, yeah, you're interfacing with the computer, they mind manipulate.
So what about this? How did you get strapped in? What's the situation there? Explain the whole
Yeah,
situation.
okay, you're led into one of the electronic areas. This seat's very large, similar to a dentist chair, only much, much bigger, of course. You are then physically strapped into the trip seat.
Is this under orders or voluntarily or under...
Well, they're using drug-assisted hypnosis to get you to a certain level first, to get you more compatible, more flexible to go onto the trip seat then. As I say, the two marks that everyone gets ended up with is when your arms are down, that's where the machine pins you.
So how long ago was that?
That was 79.
And what sort of things were put in there, or can you remember?
Well, from what I can remember, because you're in a pretty bad state when you get on the seat itself. But basically, what I can remember it looked like was basically, yes, just a thin silver bar with black like PVC covering. Basically, that's it. But that tingles as soon as that goes on your arm. That tingles, and of course, a device goes around the back of the neck, and away you go. After that, you remember nothing. Well, what happens in the seat? I mean, they place, before the door is closed in that particular, I mean, they've got several of these trip seats, all in the electronic areas. It's like if you can imagine foam rubber, and this literally encompasses you and the sea before the interfacing begins. It's very snug fitting, conforms to the body. It's literally like a glove, very tight fitting glove, and away you go.
Did they do any of that mind control stuff in Belfast?
I really couldn't say.
So does this scramble your head? Can they rewrite your memory?
Oh, they can totally obliterate your past, chop and change it about. Yeah, you can become a new person. Identities are changed. They totally change and eradicate people's past. So, yeah.
So how do you know this didn't happen to you?
Well, again, I've got to base a lot, not only on my own recall, but on what the people have been leaking the information to me. I want all this stopped. Defence Intelligence. They definitely have had enough of the programme, the way it's going.
Is it run out of money, or is it just not working, or?
It's up and running. The money's no problem. The funds from the States must be running at an all-time high. I mean, there's no problem in that respect. It's just that it's the ethics. It goes against the grain of what they're doing. As I said, they ventured into certain areas of genetic experimentation on humans, and that was the last straw for certain people.
For what purpose?
Well, as I say, organ transplantation, very big business. I mean, everyone runs the Nazis down for what they did during the Second World War. They were Boy Scouts to what these people are doing over at Peasmore now.
So is that the creation of a new life form, or what?
Well, they are.
Frankenstein.
That's a very emotive word, Frankenstein. They wouldn't see it in those terms. If they can create the perfect human, then they're going to do so, certainly.
Is this? We've seen the pictures of the Roswell film.
Mm.
Is that actually what they're doing? Is that a?
Well, again, that's very intriguing.
Is that actually part of that program?
Well, looking at those pictures from that film, I mean, who's to say that isn't a generated life form anyway? It's quite possible. They did start in the late 40s in America.
So, on the telephone, you said that there were reptilian aliens beings.
There is an interaction with that race, certainly, and there's an interaction with the proper greys.
Yeah, the alien greys.
Yeah, the alien greys.
So how do the alien greys and the reptilians, what part do they have to play
Well,
with
obviously,
what's going on?
If we were left on our own devices, we couldn't create these generated life forms.
No.
We've had to get the technology to create them.
Alien genetic technology.
Yeah, we've had to use the aliens'
Biogenetic
technology to basically create the life form.
I said in my book, isn't it?
Yeah, that's at the base.
That's what I was led to believe.
So what involvement do these greys have? What are the details behind all that?
Well, basically, everyone knows, well, everyone's assuming that the information coming out of the States that, yeah, the Americans are working hand in hand with the Greys in various underground complexes like Dulce and one or two others. The information I've been led to believe, from what I've seen myself at the base, yes, there is some cooperation going on, but it's not in a nice, friendly manner that we're all led to believe, like at Dulce. Yeah, we're all shaking hands, we'll do this and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's not like
it's
that.
not like that at all.
No.
So what is it like?
Well,
The pair of you, I mean...
you give the official view, I'll give the Greys view.
Well, the military, they got to a stage when we thought we'd get hold of as much of their technology as possible and then virtually stab them in the back.
Yeah, that's it.
That basically was it. It just hasn't worked.
So surely if you're dealing with a higher evolved life form, you don't double-cross them, surely?
But-
Not a good idea.
You see, what it is that the military, they know damn well the Greys are generated life forms, if you want to call them that. They're genetically engineered slaves. Now, there's no way that you present, it doesn't matter if that alien is much more intelligent than you, it might have an IQ of 1,000. If you are looking at something that's been genetically grown to serve, you're not going to think that's superior to you. The military, the elite are turning around thinking, well, hey, look, they're not human. I mean, we're not dealing with the Pleiadians here who put us all to shame, physically and every other which way. We're dealing with Greys. They don't look human, they don't behave in a human way, they threaten everything we stand for. If we think to ourselves, well, let's just get as much technology as we can and just fuck them, destroy them.
Basically, that's it in a nutshell.
But basically what the Greys want to do is to to actually, because they're helping create the generated life forms. They've given us the technology whereby we can do this in return for various other bits and pieces like human tissue, because they've got their own agenda and it involves crossbreeding with us. They want to become an official race.
Now,
but the
I know-
Greys are going to get the generated life forms to stab the military in the back, so everyone's out to screw everyone else.
Yeah. It's one hell of a, yeah, a weird business. I mean, the military are responsible for so many abductions,
Yeah.
but they're getting it across to people you've been abducted by.
By aliens.
Nasty out there.
Yeah.
They've created, as I said, there's certain types of generated life forms at base. One type, they use in abduction scenarios. Another type they use as the frighteners. You know, the MIBs, the
Yeah,
crazy
that's the one.
MIB stories? They've got a certain batch of generated life forms
Creatures.
that act as the MIBs. I mean, it's crazy. It really is crazy. I mean, the guys who chased me around in 1972 in the green Mercedes followed me, tried to run me off the road.
I had that when I was a kid. I was coming out of a friend's house just after my first UFO sighting when I was about 8. It wasn't black, it was blue, I think, dark car outside. 3 guys in all Saturday Night Fever stuff, all black. They looked I thought they looked like Italian waiters to me, to be honest. All black hair, all sat there in the car. I'm walking across the road. One opens the door and shouts, "Get her." I promptly legged it. Mum used to leave the door on the latch. I dropped my Barbie doll, screaming, "Ah!" You know, and they when we went back downstairs, all we could see was the car going away. My doll was gone off the pavement and there was no one else around. I mean, yeah, it could have just easily been paedophiles, but you never know.
Well, this is it. See, they feed off people's paranoia.
Mm.
I mean, they know people are going to report these strange characters. No one's going to believe them.
Well, we never bothered reporting
Disappear,
it.
into thin air. They look strange. They
That's
act
all
strange
right. That's what
deliberately. It's all part and parcel of it. No one's going to
Just to
believe.
ridicule you,
Just to,
isn't it?
scare the shit out of you and ridicule you. And it's
Because
worked
the
on so
thing
many
is,
researchers alone.
That's how the fear works. Because I mean, if you're scared and you can tell somebody, and it's a credible fear, like you're scared of being mugged, everyone's going to take you seriously, and that's going to sort of give you support so you can cope with it better. They don't want you to cope. They want you to be in the state where you're so frightened of something you can't prove exists, and everyone's going to think you're a nutter. So you've got not only have you got the fear that this is brought on you, you've also got the fear of ridicule and the feeling of total isolation. So they've won. You know, it's a really brilliant way that they can intimidate people.
So what other types of life form do we have?
Well, as I said, they use these small greys, which are used in abductions.
3-footers.
Yeah. This other type, which do the classic MIB lines, they were working on, in 79, they were working on, I suppose you could call it a reptilian type.
That's a crossbreed between a human and a reptile.
That was probably the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, that scared the life out of me when I saw this.
Surely those two types of biology aren't that compatible?
Well, I mean, we've got some amphibian and reptilian in our brains anyway. You know, I mean, our brain is reptilian. It's one of the parts of our body that is partly reptilian. You know, when you look back into the sort of like the evolutionary stage. Once upon a time when we did start evolving naturally from them seeding it, it's a certain part of us came from reptiles anyway. And if you know how to manipulate DNA and take out what you want and add what you want, you know, take out what you don't want and add what you want, you can sort of splice anything.
And I didn't know what the purpose of that particular type was for anyway. Obviously, it wasn't totally explained to me, oh, that type is to do this. Just the main ones. They're the main ones, the ones that go out on stage abductions. That's the main type. The MIBs, the frighteners, the Gook Squad.
Yeah. So the thing about crossbreeding, you can create a creature, you'll be able to create a creature as long as you use genetic engineering, you know, or cloning. You'll never be able to make it fertile, that's very difficult. So you're creating hybrids, but hybrids are normally sterile. See, we must have had genetic engineering performed on us in order to make us fertile in the first place. Because, I mean, if we were a hybrid between ape men and Pleiadians or Liberians or whatever you want to call them, then we would have been sterile. So, you know, in the Bible where it gives you this whole thing about when God sort of gave us the procreation, they probably had to sort of like use laboratories and took them hundreds of years probably to actually create us so that we could reproduce naturally. And that was one of the big sins, you know. In the Bible, God was not happy as the Pleiadians came and sort of jumped in on his colony. Yahweh didn't like it. King of Nibiru, whatever he was.
It scared the life out of me when I first saw these, obviously. You see these things and so many of them.
Are they in jars or?
Well, they start, obviously, because they've got to start somewhere. I mean, there's a process. I mean,
Just grow them.
on that level, yeah, there's the process. But,
Like what I wrote in my book, innit?
yeah, the storage areas where they've literally got all the fully grown ones, all ready to get shipped out, oh, they're going to go to a certain location, do a certain job. Yeah, these row after row after row. And I tell you, it's spooky. It's very spooky just looking at them. I mean,
The eyes are empty.
these massive big eyes. I
and
mean,
they're so
it's weird.
empty.
Yeah, it's
no
weird.
motion, nothing.
And are they in sort of fluid jars with tentacles? Or
Some of
what
it's electronic,
supplies them
isn't
with-
it? Some of
with
it's
nutrients?
electronic.
Well, it is, because as I say, they've got to go through
electronic.
the process from virtually growing these
You know,
things.
like in
I mean,
vitro and stuff like that.
uh,
I mean, we're not as advanced as the aliens. I don't know what the alien breeding chambers look like. They're probably all bio anyway. So, I mean, the kind of equipment they use is bio equipment anyway. So you can probably just kind of like link someone up or splice them to something for however long you want them to be on it and take it off again. It's probably a bio thing anyway. Like some of the ships may be like bio computers running them. But I mean, our technology isn't that advanced just this minute. It may be getting there. But we're still using, technology.
But what about the biocomputers that we're using? You mentioned on the telephone that that was out of control, that the situation is out of control.
the situation is out of control, but it doesn't stop them. They'll still find a way around that. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been using those computers, for quite some time. It's just literally like when you see in the film, Frankenstein. He's got to create this creature at all costs.
It's an obsession.
Well,
But then
I
at
think
the
it goes
same
well above
time,
that, yeah.
in the same time, I mean, it may be an obsession, but at the same time, they're just so desperate to get to a level technologically whereby they can be on a par with the Greys and with the other ones, and possibly they can even kid themselves. They can perhaps reach the level that the other ones, the humanoids, are at. Because at the end of the day, humanity wants to stab them all in the back because we want to be superior. Because our ancestry is giving us like an unconscious calling, saying what we can be like, and we want to be superior, and we're not going to sit on our backsides and let anyone tell us what to do. But we will get fucked, excuse my language, at the end of the day.
So, what's the main cause for this? I mean, what's so good about it?
Well, everyone calls it a New World Order.
Yeah, the
I-
official term.
The official term.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer not to call that
No.
because that's been dragged around, given all different meanings over
It's
the
a
years.
cliche now.
It is.
Mm.
It's masters and slaves. All us are going to be cannon
It's like
fodder. We're going to be
robots,
the
isn't
slave.
it? Like
yeah.
what David Icke's
Yeah.
been talking about.
Again,
what
that's why I
about-
contacted him. I thought he was on the right track.
What about the rest of us?
History's scared, I think.
Well, basically, we're going to literally do as we're told. We're going to be good little boys and girls.
We are such
We're going to
such
toe
a
the party line.
bad situation because on the physical level, we are going to be not necessarily servants but lapdogs of the establishment. We always have been to one extreme, from one scale to another. It's either been lapdogs to the church, lapdogs to the lords in the days of the feudal system. We always have been the everyday people on the street. But on the other extent, on the spiritual level, we are actually having our spirits propagated for the purposes of whether we can be reincarnated to one alien group's side or another alien group's side. And at the same time, we've got our soul, poor thing, which is apparently being robbed by the Greys, as you were saying. I don't know, for food, who knows? But I mean, we're just like cows being bred for certain reasons. Like the meat goes on the table and the skin goes into leather jackets or something. That's what we are at the minute.
John Lear has said that they're going to clear out the petri dish,
Yeah.
meaning that we're in the petri dish. The experiment's over.
But I wouldn't say the experiment's quite over yet. Perhaps it's in its final
I
stages.
mean, we were in an experiment anyway. This is all a
But,
big experiment from the ET's point of view. And the military's jumped on the bandwagon.
But what are the what's happening here in England that we can see about these bases, and is there anything we can do about it?
Well, there's not very much anyone can do about it. I mean, I've been treading on very dangerous ground, obviously, in the last 18 months. Suffered God knows what.
Like what?
Well, besides just your normal run-of-the-mill threats and intimidations over the telephone.
Like what? What do they say? What sort of threats are they?
Well,
If you
again,
can,
it's typical
if you
cliches
can
sort
go
of
into
things. Well,
detail.
you've got information, Mr. King. The information certainly shouldn't be given to anyone else. You've got a family, remember that. And it got to a stage when that escalated to they couldn't threaten me anymore. I just told them where to go. But it was in my family they were threatening, such as, isn't it amazing how many children disappear on their way to or from school? Now that's it. I won't put up with that sort of intimidation. So they know where to hit. Physically, yes. I'll give you one example. Telephone rang. Some guy had seen an object, close range, left traces on the ground, wanted me to come and see it to, prove that it wasn't hallucinating. So I arranged to meet this guy at a certain location. He said he'd be sitting in his car outside this particular location. Meet him there, and then he'd lead me across through the woods to the field where this object came down. So yeah, no problem. Doing that all the time. Got to location, yeah, there he was, one guy sitting in his car. tapped on his window. Oh, right, okay. Before I knew it, out came the heavies from nowhere. Bundled into the car, taken to a location somewhere in Brentwood, just an ordinary suburban house. And basically, well, they didn't offer me tea and sandwiches anyway. And that was a general good talking to first, and when that wouldn't wash, beaten up a bit, and then driven home. It got to that stage. The next stage was...
So what effect did that have on yourself and the information that you were releasing?
The resolve there, I'm totally 100% resolved in getting this out. I mean, obviously the more they lean on me, the more I'm going to squeal. So, you know, they're not going to win. Yeah,
So
okay, I've had threats of, well, you definitely will end up at the bottom of the Thames, or, you know, so many hit and run accidents these days. It's terrible on the streets, isn't it?
Do you think there'll just come a time when they'll flick the switch?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm expecting that, because after all the rough stuff they've actually come out with now, well, the easiest and cleanest way, I mean, if we actually, as I've said to Tony Dodd, if they were to literally use the heavy side on me, I'd rather like to think certain people would start asking certain questions, and that would make it very awkward for the programme. If they can do it in the quiet way of just taking me back into the base, total memory erasure, that's it. I mean, that's it. The whole lot's gone then. I'm not going to remember anything at all.
So they can bring you into the base and...
Yeah, what happens is one
what do they
telephone
do?
call. Well, it involves one telephone call, a trigger phrase is used.
Yeah.
I'm then told to go to a certain location where I'll be picked up by operatives from the base. And it can either be done in the field, they'll take me to a location where they just administer the drug and the whole lot's gone, or literally back into the base so they can do a full job there. Simple
So
as
how
that.
do the trigger words obviously have been implanted already?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Do you know what they are?
Well, if I obviously knew what the
Consciously?
whole... No, if I knew what the whole... I mean, in one of the documents I've actually given out what I know. I mean, there's phrases like when one of them wants to pass information to me or retrieve data from me back to them, then they'll use a certain phrase over the telephone. Like the guy who phoned from Amsterdam last November, Harry Reader. Now, he got out. He's lucky, he got out. He's been chasing all over Europe to keep out of their way. But he had information to give me one evening, so he telephoned from Amsterdam, gave that phrase that we use between ourselves, and so I know, yeah, friend, and yeah, so I know that side of things. I know part of the code they use on me, because, yeah, again, after all the sophistication of the program, they still use very basic stuff like, I said, I became involved in 1972, so that's 1172, because it was London when I first became involved, Lima, so I know the first part is Lima 1172, then they use my initials, Bravo Mike Kilo. Then it's the electrical signal, then it's the rest of the trigger cue, and that's it, away they go. But I don't know that last part, obviously. But they've only got to use that on the telephone, and I'm primed, ready to go. And I'll just go to a location, ready
So
to pick up.
they could make you assassinate someone, even if they wanted to. Because there's a lot of people saying that they
What?
can do this to kind of... A lot
It's
of
the
these
same
mass
principle,
murders,
yes, obviously the same principle. They can use that, yeah, exactly.
Are there other people like you, or...?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few. That's what I said. Harry Reader was one. I named two others in the documents. Robert Thirlwell was another. Unfortunately, the other two were picked up. One was picked up in the Midlands, and one was picked up in Glasgow. Obviously, they know where everyone is anyway. I mean, they're tracking everyone 24 hours a day. So I know two out of the three I would have said were very close friends. We're all virtually out of the programme at virtually the same time. Harry Reader I've not heard of since November. As I said, he phoned from Amsterdam. He reckoned he was quite safe, so he was scouting around a bit. I've not heard since November, so okay, they could have got him, or he could still be on the run.
Well, why aren't you on the run then?
Basically, because of the extra help I'm getting from Defence Intelligence tells me that I don't need to. I'm sort of like leaning on them as guardians. They're there to fall back on should the shit hit the fan. They want to get a certain part of the picture across to the public. It's generally accepted now by most of the public that, yes, there are aliens out there, UFOs exist, this happens and that happens, but it's the way they've manipulated things in getting it across to everyone's eyes that these aliens are hostile. They're out to hurt you. They're out to drag you aboard one of their ships, do all manner of nasty things to you, really shake the shit out of you, and don't trust them. Whatever you do, don't trust them.
So that when they release their little generated life forms, then we'll all be sitting there thinking they're aliens.
No, it's the bloody military are behind the whole bloody thing.
I mean, with the aliens, okay, I mean, they have got a point when they say, oh yes, aliens are dangerous, but it's certainly not in the pathetic physical sense as much as, I mean, if we think that that's all they want from us to prod us about physics, I'm sorry, then we obviously can't have no comprehension of what the hell the cosmic scale of things is, because it doesn't work like that. The only thing the aliens are interested in is us inside. We are a container, just like Bob Lazar said. They're not worried about our little containers. They're not even worth duplicating. I mean, most of us don't look like Claudia Schiffer. So do you know what I mean? They're not worried about our containers. It's what's inside of it, because we are being propagated. We're like walking tomato plants, you know, like being propagated. And then it's like the harvest of the earth. When we're ripe, spirits get reaped. Nibirians get their lot, whoever's evolved to their levels, you know, the Jesus freaks and what have you. The Pleiadians get their lots, you know, the Aleister Crowleys and what have you. And whoever's left in the middle that nobody wants, right, they'll be bloody well thrown away. And the soul, which is a byproduct of intelligent life and energy, will just get taken up to whoever needs the power and given to them. So, I mean, you know, we can't see that, though, of course, because we're so thick. But, you know, we don't think of the spiritual side of things, because we live in the physical world, and of course there can't be anything that we can't see, can there?
Mm. So in what experience do you have about the physical and the etheric sort of level?
Not much. Basically, mine's totally on the physical side of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can only talk about what I've actually experienced. So anything else, it's just that if it gels, yeah, okay. Other than that, I can't
that's
say.
Why when I started phoning him up, because I'd had all these like freaky messages and they were kind of telling me, like, because I kind of get these feelings, look, hey, you're going a bit above yourself here. Okay, maybe I've sussed out some parts, some small parts, trivial parts of the universe. I certainly don't know it all, and I don't pretend to. So maybe I've sussed out a few and I'm starting to get a bit above myself, and it's like, hey, you're living on planet Earth, you're here to do something, fucking do it. Yeah, what you should be involved in is what is happening in your physical reality, and that's all this kind of thing. So they're kind of telling me the bases. Berkshire, you know, things like generated life forms, half of the abductions, they're not done by us. You know, and that's when I phoned up Barry, thinking, well, you know, I spoke to Maria Ward, she didn't know much about it. And I phoned up Barry and I said, this is how I see the story, that the military's doing most of the abductions and this and that to lead us to believe there's this alien threat. And he's like, well that gels with what he knows.
At long last, someone else is getting
you know, but I haven't read anything like that. I mean, yes, I've seen some sort of standard UFO things that you can buy over the counter in Smith's and Forbidden Planet. I've seen hardly any of the underground stuff. The only underground stuff I've seen is the Albielek tape and the Montauk tape, and I saw that after I wrote my book, which I can get my mum to vouch for because I borrowed it off a friend. So I hadn't seen any of this stuff. It came literally, and I'll tell you the truth, it came off the Ouija board, dreams, and just from my head, just from nowhere.
So it's been alluded at a number of times in a casual sort of way that the military are behind a hell of a lot, but it's just been kept way, way down. Well, the main one over here is Peasmore, but other bases are connected. I've actually listed every single UK base that has an underground complex, and a number of those obviously are connected to Peasmore, either in a direct or indirect way.
Porton Down.
Porton Down, especially. Porton Down is connected to Boscombe Down.
And what's happening at Boscombe?
Boscombe, there was a secret US Air Force unit situated at Boscombe Down.
Underground?
Now, the experimentation that goes on between Porton and Peasmore is then shipped from Boscombe over to the States.
Alabama.
Well, that's just one location.
Yeah.
Obviously,
That's what I kept getting.
you've got Edgewood. Edgewood plays a very big part in this. Edgewood Arsenal in Maryland, they play a very big part in that. So they're working hand in hand with Porton Down.
So what kind of stuff?
That's all the genetic
bodies?
experimentation, yeah.
Cultures.
DNA, yeah, the whole lot.
Because, I mean, let's
Literally
face
the
it,
whole
it's
lot.
more difficult to transport bodies. You might as well get the culture that you can then grow. So you transport
And
the culture.
these are flown out of Boscombe?
Flown out of Boscombe Down, yeah.
Because I've got a girlfriend down there. I've detected some kind of silence.
There definitely is a US Air Force.
But that girl from
secret
Sky
unit.
is me to fortune. Yeah.
I've given the location of the head of the American program, and that's out of the NSA headquarters at Fort Meade. That's where the American operations are run.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as the orgasmic state, isn't it, that they talk about in Montauk?
Oh, yeah.
It's the transfer of information, because if you're in certain states,
You reach a certain peak, yeah.
it doesn't matter whether it's orgasmic or, you know, on a high or drug-induced. You reach a certain peak where the subconscious is laid completely open, meaning that they can get access in or
Yeah,
take
they're
something
getting to
out.
levels, they're accessing certain levels of your brain,
that's
your
something
mind,
that's
that they
quite
wouldn't
commonly
be
known
able
now.
to access under any other circumstances.
So
And that
who
brings
is
the whole
they?
thing with the rave
NSA.
scene as well. It's like the rave scene.
So what
Again,
are they
it's
doing there when they
programming.
do it?
Well, basically, as I say, they're engineering. Everyone who gets put in that trip seat is then the property of the NSA. I'm the property of the NSA. Activities and research in this country, Rudloe Manor.
Where's that?
That's at Corsham in Wiltshire. Now, even Tim Good had a good scout around that place in the 80s. He got as far as the perimeter fence and then got nipped. Up until recently, they've denied having a vast underground complex at Rudloe Manor. I mean, it's been in the wind for years. I've sort of known about it since 79-80, but you couldn't get it confirmed. Now it has been confirmed, no one can get anywhere near it. Now, again, by the people who actually helped construct the place, they reckon it's literally as big as a city. It's a massive, it's the biggest in this country, underground complex. Now, that was detailed on TV when Schofield's Quest,
Yeah.
they actually took the cameras to the gate, wanted access to the underground
Well,
complex.
they did that with the Park Road Lane ones
Yeah.
too, didn't they? The
Now, they've got-
garages.
yeah, chic. That was great. Obviously, they had to go through
Brilliant.
official
Why do you think
procedure.
Schofield's Quest's been taken off the air?
Um,
They got too close.
What you have to do is you contact them and ask if your name can go on the list for the following year. So I thought, well, I'm going to be dead cheeky. I'm going to contact Rudloe Manor myself, and I'd like to be put on the list for the next year. So I
What,
did
to be allowed
that.
in?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So
Let's
there's
do
thoughts of, oh, hold on, because obviously all the names that come up, oh my God, not him. And, well, it's pretty nice about it.
Dear Mr. King, access to the underground complex at Royal Air Force Rudloe Manor. Thank you for your letter of 29th of October 1994. It may seem somewhat illogical, but at Royal Air Force Rudloe Manor we are unable to authorise access to the underground complex, as it is an issue that is dealt with by the Directorate of Public Relations, Royal Air Force in London. Your letter has been therefore forwarded to them today, and you should receive a response in due course. Thank you for your interest in Royal Air Force Rudloe Manor. Yours sincerely, Liz Serapes or something, Flight Lieutenant of Officer Commanding. That's pretty official looking. So they're admitting they've got an underground
Oh,
complex,
yeah.
but then bunkers built for bureaucrats is old news, isn't it? They're trying to sell a few of them off now, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, they've
Been
got
on
rid of the Kelvin
London
Hatch
Tonight.
one.
Can
Yeah.
we sell it off, please? 150,000 from Flight Lieutenant C.C. Cotton, RAF Directorate of Public Relations, Royal Air Force, room 0359, Ministry of Defence, Main Building, Whitehall, London. Dear Mr. King, thank you for your inquiry regarding the viewing of an underground site at RAF Rudloe Manor. Regrettably, the complex is an MOD site covered by the Official Secrets Act, to which there is no public access, even though Mr. King has actually signed the Official Secrets Act.
It still makes very little difference in their
Oopsie,
eyes. Yeah.
hold that up for the old camera. So we know, officially, there is a complex there. And they gave me this name, this James Donald. And then later on, you know, the board spelt out that JD, when I say the board, I'm talking about the Ouija board that moves on its own. I mean, you know, that bloke, Ben Spoons, be proud of it, because just off it goes. So, you know, it's spelt out that JD were the initials of somebody who was monitoring me. And when I spoke to you on the phone, he said that there's somebody within the surveillance of the MOD with the initials JD, and I'd love to know how I knew that.
There's me thinking that either you're tapping in here,
Yeah.
but then again, during the process of manipulation they do at the base, there's a little procedure where it prevents anyone from doing that. These are minds that only the program
I
can
mean,
read.
I can practice telepathy in some cases. I can do it. I've done it before.
But I thought I was willing you,
But-
come on, pick up something. But I thought
I didn't.
you wouldn't be able to, unfortunately, because they block that. I mean, they that's another a
Like
side.
the old Tommy knockers and the piece of metal in the
yes,
head.
yeah.
You know, yeah. But I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, I was
How does
finding
that
this
work?
outrageous.
Can you get into more detail how they can prevent that?
Well, they use this electrical process. I mean, they've got these electronic areas again, or the base. They've got medical areas, electronic areas, labs, processing plant. They've got the whole lot. they put people through a load of different processes. Again, they've always been fond of this psychic side of things. So if they can find not only a researcher, but a psychic researcher at that, they've got a double bullseye. So they drag those ones in. We're going to enhance their psych capabilities for their purposes, of course, and that's what they've done with me. I mean, again, I don't really believe in this the word psychic as such, no, but okay, I can sense things, pick up things,
Yeah.
do
You
things.
see, the way I see it is telepathy is nothing but radio waves. It's just a different kind of radio waves.
It is.
We're used
Just get
to.
that tuned
If they
in a
learn
little
how
bit,
to
yeah.
manipulate it, they can obviously
Yeah.
stop people from receiving, let people receive. You
Yeah.
see, everything is a science. We don't realise this, but even the spirit is a science. If you want to understand the scientific mechanics of it, you can transplant spirits, you can send them willy-nilly. As long as you can understand something, you can learn about it and control it. And
This
that's,
is it. It's got
It
many
is a
purposes,
science.
such as remote viewing. Yes, I mean we all know governments like the Russians especially have used remote viewers to do so many things. So yeah, if they can get in someone who's psychic in that respect, they'll enhance that psychic capability to such a degree. Then that person is going to become a very, very useful tool for them.
Did you think I was something like that?
I must admit, I was a bit worried that certainly there was something going on. I mean, it was, when you mentioned P, you know, at first you said begin with a P,
Yeah.
and a few
They
days
wouldn't
later,
tell me.
and then Peasmore
I'm
came out.
saying on the Ouija board, bloody spell
Sod
it
it.
out, and they're
How
saying
did she
P,
get
P,
Peasmore? I
P.
thought I'm gonna. Thought, now, either you're genuinely getting this, or there's someone in the background over there feeding you information. And I thought, well,
Yeah.
there's only Pikey
Yeah.
who knows about
I do know
Peasmore.
Pike, but he didn't tell me, and I'm sure he'll confirm it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. All I said to Anthony Pike in the way of bases in Berkshire was there was a base in Berkshire, and all he said was yes. Because I was told last year, because of a very personal thing that happened with this grey called Fahan, and I wanted to know where he was, and he told me Berkshire at a base. So I'm phoning up like people I knew at the time, and I only really knew Pike and Roy. Is there a base in Berkshire? No, Roy said. Then he didn't know that I should know about all this at the time,
That's
obviously.
right, yeah.
Is there a base in Berkshire? Pike? Yes, and that's as far as it went. No name. Work it out. No, I want to know. Tell me, otherwise I'm going to send you psychic visions and make your life hell on earth, you know, because I threaten them. Because Fahan, you see, he doesn't feel. I said, I'm going to send you loads of wild emotions and really freak your brain out. Because greys, the greys do not like it very much. It blows their mind. One way to really get the better of a grey, if you're confronted with a grey, send it feelings. It does not like it. You send it feelings, especially erotic images. It does not like it. They don't know how to cope. You know, they'll run a mile. They think you're interested in them in that. And they'll, off I go.
Okay, it's come from various people over the last year or so that, yeah, there's a base in Berkshire, people, and these people, they've rung me and they've had visions of being connected to a base,
Yeah.
and they've come straight out and it's always been Berkshire.
Yeah.
It's never been Oxfordshire, Wiltshire,
No.
Somerset, Devon, wherever. They've always said Berkshire. And, okay,
Yeah,
what
that's
have you
what
got?
he told me.
They've got fleeting images of being taken there in a car.
Oh, I have nothing like
and they've
that.
had this done to them, they've had that done to them, and
Nothing
then
like
that's
that.
it. Then it's blanked off. And this has happened in the last
No,
year.
how it
Well,
came out with me, it was totally jest in my own home, because half the stuff I used to get from the board I didn't believe anyway. And like this little Fahan that I'd had all these dreams about, and like my missing hair and stuff, and this kind of really weird experience which I went into with you. And I'm sitting there once on the board with my mum, and it's starting to move on its own, and I'm saying, well, come on, where are you? Because you're so powerful, it doesn't seem like you're up there in a spaceship. Where are you? He said, I'm here on Earth. I said, well, tell me where. And he said, Berkshire. I said, well, how can you get into my house? And he goes, you know, basically, before Stargate came out, he said, time tunnels. I can just open a tunnel and there I am in your house. So I'm saying, oh, cool, come round for 12 o'clock tonight. You know, I'll get some old ice cream out for you. Like being, you know, laughing. Because, I mean, I like to laugh about it anyway, because I mean, it's so absurd. Even if it's true, it's so absurd, you've got to laugh. So, I mean, I said, well, where is this base in Berkshire? And he was kind of like saying, well, between Wantage and Newbury or something, you know. He was like spelling out these, like, and another one, Whitehorse, Uppington. He said, Triangle. He said, it's in there somewhere. And I'm saying, well, I haven't got a map.
Yeah.
Tell me the exact location. He wouldn't tell me. It was only this year on the board, and I'm still nagging at him, because he turns around and says that I've got to do something about these life forms, because I'm very pro-grey in lots of ways. I don't like what they're doing in the respect of treating us like pieces of meat, but I do think they've got a valid point.
Wrong one.
If they're genetically engineered slaves, they've got a right to try and become a race in their own right. So I'm pretty pro-grey in that respect. So I'm pro anything that's been repressed. That's just me. I'd have been fighting for the blacks if I'd been born 200 years ago. I'd have been fighting for gay rights or something, you know, since I'm fighting for grey rights.
Well, you came up with this triangle business just the other day. Now, I done these weeks ago,
Yeah.
and
Is that a triangle?
well, there's
Bloody Nora!
there's Peasmore.
And it's pretty much near there, isn't it?
There's the Vale of the White Horse. I
Could
mean,
you hold it up?
Yeah,
Oh,
It's not gonna
wow,
come out.
there is a triangle there.
a bit windy,
With
but
the names he gave me.
yes, as I say, that's why I was a bit worried. No, as I say, I
God.
photocopied this a few weeks ago.
I'll have some
I
Smarties.
started spreading it around.
Blimey, alright.
Well, I've highlighted the other bases on here as well, such as Harwell, the big nuclear place where they did some very nasty experimentation. Now, has it ever crossed your mind, once the cruise missiles disappeared out of Greenham Common, what happened to Greenham Common?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
It wouldn't just leave it, 'cause it's too
yeah,
expensive
this
to
is
leave
it.
installations like
so
that.
doesn't it make you wonder what's going on at Greenham Common?
Yeah, it's been taken over for all this, hasn't it?
And another nasty goings on by the Americans. They're at a location called Watchfield. That's just over in the border in Oxfordshire. And I do know that something is happening at Watchfield, but I can't
It's not
find
near
out what.
Banbury, is it, Oxham?
Well, it's not too far from Swindon. And well, again, there's a place
Mm.
at Rowton in Swindon, which, again, all sillies are going on. There's a place near Devizes, all silly things going on. Right, now what would have been the cream on the cake for disclosing all this information would have been a series of photographs that were obtained by the Defence Intelligence people directly from the base. Now, in the process of getting those photographs, they were caught, actually, in certain areas of the base where they shouldn't have been. Two of their agents were then, I mean, they nicely put it as posted overseas. They're lost agents, they're gone. Those photographs were given to me in a roundabout way by a truck stop. They literally passed that information on to me in 1988 by waylaying me in my truck. I was off on a journey to Wales. They bypassed all that. Long story short, they passed those photographs to me to keep to one side for a specific time until it seemed right to release these photographs. So what I did was I lodged these with the firm of solicitors in town on the understanding that I could collect them on a certain telephone queue, you know, so that means Mr. King's coming in, he wants the photographs, knowing that the phone was being monitored. On a number of occasions I've got to using that queue on the telephone saying, right, I'm coming into town now to pick up some merchandise. And on one particular occasion I was followed from literally the house. I mean, a white Ford Sierra with some guys in it was parked just down the road. Just felt a bit edgy that it was sitting there for maybe an hour or so, not moving, it was just parked down the road. So I'm walking up along, went outside the bus stop, wait for the bus. The Ford Sierra came round, parked just down the road. The bus came along, I got on the bus. The Sierra followed us all the way into town. I got off at the railway station. I thought, well, I'm gonna bypass the solicitors just to see if these follow. And so I took a long walk around. And I thought, I'll head for the library. I'll pretend I'm going to go and get some books. And yeah, this thing came shooting up from behind me in Victoria Street, right outside the Essex County Council building. So there's quite a few witnesses. This thing mounted the curb in front of me. Yeah, two of them came out, put their arm across to stop me from passing.
Yeah.
Right, we'll go somewhere now and we'll have a little chat about the pictures. And yeah, they marched me into the library, took one of the little tables there, and generally had a 20-25 minute chit chat about every time I go to collect those photographs, they're going to be there waiting.
What exactly was on the photograph?
Well, that's photographs of the base, the PGs, the staff. The staff.
Forms?
Oh yeah, the life forms are all there. Yeah, all on the photographs. Aerial photograph of the base.
Why don't they just go into the solicitors and take them down things?
Well, that's where we get this. Okay, being a very tricky situation. There's still this confidentiality with clients, so they wouldn't come straight in because I'm sure questions would have been asked.
You might arrange to break into the solicitors though.
Well, again, certain questions would have been asked.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this nice little chat in the library here in town was that, you know, that they came out with a a similar set of documents and photographs, and right, now we know you know what these are, so they just spread them out on the table. Right, what's that, what's that, what's that, what's that? Okay, now you know. You don't get to get your copies under no circumstances.
So who
Back in the envelope.
who arranged for the
A
photographs?
special branch. Again, they're heavy into
They
it.
actually wanted you to have the photograph.
Oh, Defence Intelligence wanted me to have the photographs.
Oh.
So it's a special branch that stop it.
So oh, here comes the helicopter.
Yeah, Defence Intelligence are the people who want this information out. And they're the ones who supplied the photographs. They're the ones who went right out their way to truck stop me to get the photographs passed over. Plus a load of other documentation, details about myself. That's where I started to know about this survey that's been going on since. I mean, the documentation they showed me at that time, at that location, I was just totally gobsmacked, because it listed literally everything about me going right back to January 1955. I mean, when I was 2, I contracted pneumonia, and it was pretty bad. I mean, in the 50s, anything like that, really was life-threatening. I was told by parents that, I was rushed to hospital in an ambulance. I deteriorated so bad, I was put in an oxygen tent. There was virtually no chance of survival. In came the priest, doing the old bits and pieces, and yes, I did physically die for a couple of minutes or so. And
Did you have any experience when you were
yeah,
dead?
well, weird. Yeah, that's
On
when
NDA.
my very first out of the body X-ray, because I could
Yeah.
actually see myself, this tiny little tot laying in this blooming great hospital bed with this plastic sheeting type thing around, the oxygen thing. Yeah, I could actually view that. My parents totally breaking down, the priest reading the last rites and all the rest of it, and then all of a sudden, boom, back down.
You've got 2 implants.
Yeah.
What's the implant program going to be? Are they going to give it to all of us?
Well, everyone who's connected one way or another, as I said, with the program, everyone's implanted. Now, they experimented, as I said, what they said in 1979 was this is an experimental procedure we're now going through. Everyone's going through it, it's nothing to worry about. They clouded it by saying, well, what we're doing, we're seeing if we can control your fingers, your hand, by remote. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to stop the signals from your brain reaching your hand, and we're going to control, we want it to wave, we want it to play the piano with a small incision, in goes the implant, and it's as simple as that, and then we'll start taking over with the computers. Oh yeah, great, okay, I've no real problem with that.
Blimey.
And basically that's what they did. The small device implanted, and and it worked a treat.
Can you feel it in there? Can you sort of?
Well, it's like when you get what do you call it? Of a bit of wood, splinter. Yeah, it's got like a large splinter. Not too not too uncomfortable, but it certainly was there.
Is it still there?
The scar? No, the implant. No, that was taken straight out after the.
That was just one initial, just a test.
But that was just a test, but they did make a hell of a bloody hash.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. Now that could tie in, as you said, that was a general thing they were doing. Now that would tie in with an implant for barcoding everyone.
Yeah,
it's going to go ahead anyway.
But it's going to go ahead, yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, they're going to bring out the ID card, okay, and obviously the ID card will act as like a money card, like a Mondex or something, or a smart card. Smart card for the unemployed, Mondex for the people who are working. It's going to have all your information on it, so it's going to link up all the agencies like the tax people and the legal people, so it's going to monitor this person has not got a criminal record, this person holds a full driving licence, this person has X amount in their bank account. It's just stuff like that, blood group so-and-so, even possibly
we're all
genetic code.
virtually run by someone's database.
Well, it's going to be like that. And then they're going to turn around
worse.
and say, no, but these cards can be hoaxed and these cards can be lost or stolen, just like the credit card. And they'll say, well, the only way to do it, so it can't be, in all probability, hoaxed, forged, or stolen or lost, is by having an implant inside the body. Because nobody in their right mind is going to flipping or walk along with something on their forehead.
Well, isn't that what the situation is?
Imagine trying to pay for some goods in a shop, you have to put your head on the forehead, whoop,
No, but we're not going to be in our right minds. Is there any more details about that, about how that's going to be implemented?
Well, I think it's going to come about in such a subtle way. We're going to just totally accept it anyway.
Because,
I
I mean,
don't think
they
there's
just
going to
call
be
it
a big
progress.
uprising, yeah.
You call control progress, and people, they want it.
Yeah.
You call it control, they don't want it. You just got to phrase it properly.
So where is all this leading?
It's leading to total control.
By who? For what reason?
Well, let's give them one of their very fancy names, the elites. They've been called by lots of names over the years.
Basically, the rich, the people in, the politicians, the bureaucrats,
Those at the very top of the tree.
like it always has been.
Yeah, but they're the administrators.
The administrators.
What
They're the ones who are
benefit-
implementing all this. Because, I mean, let's face it, I don't think in all probability some of the politicians probably don't know the full scale of things. And if they do, it's on an unconscious level. Because I think if I went up to Tony Blair and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Blair, do you think you're being manipulated by aliens?" he'd laugh at me. So I don't think that all the politicians know. But I mean, I think that you see, because I mean, my mum's got friends in Strasbourg. She knows people in Strasbourg. And that they don't even know very much about this. They know that there's a computer there called the Beast, Brussels Electronic Auditing Surveillance Terminal. And I've heard this from other people as well. This is common knowledge. It isn't like ultra secret stuff or anything. But, even the European Court doesn't seem to be made fully aware of it. The European Parliament, the British Parliament. It's the administrators, because the administrators push things in. They're the ones that bring the ideas in. It's only Parliament that puts a seal of approval on it. It's going to be nasty if... You see, the thing is, it's whether you want to live in ignorance, isn't it? Because, I mean, ignorance is bliss. And if we were to sit here in ignorance and live our little lives and have our jobs and our cars and our houses, we probably would be very happy, because it's a very, very commercial world. It's a very it'll be a very comfortable world in some ways.
Where the manipulation side of
ignorance
things
is
come
bliss.
in is there's a certain
People that ask questions are the
ratio.
ones that
The
are going to have
rebels.
trouble.
Now you mentioned it, and I've always been a bit of a rebel since I was a
Yeah.
kid. I'd rebel against anything at all. Authority, the
Yeah,
rules and
me too.
regulations. No way. If there's a rule there, I'll go out and break it. If I can't break it, I'll at least bend it.
That's right.
And they're the people who are heavily targeted for manipulation, because they want you to toe the party line.
They want you to
You've
conform.
got to do what they say.
1984, brother, you must obey.
Well, that
you
came
must
and went.
conform.
We're already there. Yeah, we've been
I
there a
know,
long time.
people.
Yeah.
You see, that's a classic example, isn't it? When 1984 came, suddenly it hit us. We were in 1984, and like Frankie Goes to Hollywood, we were at #1 and stuff, and we all thought, ha ha ha, it didn't happen that way, did it? But in the meantime, they were still getting all your details from your postcode on the computers, and cameras going up everywhere in petrol stations. And it's not just about crime, monitoring. And we're sitting here on our backsides thinking, oh well, what a relief, because the reality will never be as shocking as a science fiction. They'll make the shocking bits stay underground. They'll never give you the shocking bits.
Yeah. Now
You see, if we thought it was all going to be like They Live, very obviously shocking, it would be terrifying. But because it never is like that, it's secretly shocking, but the public never know that it's shocking. We'll all sit here quite happily while everybody gets on with doing what they want to do, and sort of like let everything pass us by.
I think the worrying
Like lapdogs.
side of things, to me, is okay. We all know certain people that seem to be in charge and want to do all this manipulation. Even I can't fathom out who is above them. Now, it could be one of two things. It could be the aliens for whatever reason, but then again, I think that's been defeated because of the way things are running. If
What
not
do
the
you mean by
aliens, well,
You see, I don't know. I think aliens are involved, but
yeah, they're involved, but
on a much higher level. I
yeah,
mean, we
but
are
this
being
is it. Let's get
influenced in a very
right to the very
unconscious
top level. Let's get to the very, very top level. Okay, we've got all the administrators. Let's call them the elite. I've got a suspicious feeling that there's someone above them, but I can't put a face to them.
Have you met aliens? And if you have, what are they, or what type, or where did you meet them, or what?
Well, again, back to the base. Now, besides the life forms, the programmed life forms, which were in the storage area, and that's the only place where I saw them at that time, was in the storage areas itself. The ones wandering around were your greys, and I think
How many were wandering around, and in what way were they wandering around?
Were they ET greys or generated greys?
that was impossible for me to tell. I could not tell. I mean,
So
the
they
generated
had
life
access,
forms were a shock, as it was.
and how
seeing
different
so
were
many
they
of those.
to the greys?
Well, again, I can only solely base this on what I've seen. Now, the grey generated life forms, let's keep them separate, their eyes were huge, black, but these were circular. Not like
Yeah,
your
that's
typical
right.
grey,
They're not
where
sort of
they're
wrap around.
yeah, wrap around. But the greys that were walking around were your typical little greys with the big wraparound eyes.
Are they shields?
Well, someone said, perhaps in a jokey mood, that yeah, if you get a small screwdriver, you can prise something off on their face. And I didn't know what the hell he was referring to. Prise what off his face? There's virtually nothing there.
Because I
other than
understand they're very sensitive to light.
Yeah, yeah.
They were designed to be
Yeah.
space pilots and therefore to be flying in space. But the way I understand it is that there's an ongoing exchange program whereby, and this is what this Fahan is involved in, he apparently is a genetic engineer, and that he sort of like
So
became
who's Sahan?
Fahan.
Who's he?
Fahan. He's somebody I communicate with on the Ouija board, and I'll be basically all started with my dreams and all stuff like that, and my missing pregnancy and my book. And I thought, right, I'll go on the board and see if I can
Well,
get
this
anything out of it.
exchange program, is it exchanging them and us?
Well, no, not that kind of exchange. Well, yeah, in a way. But apparently, I mean, the Greys apparently have got predominant usage of part of the installation on Mars, which they're using for a genetic centre for crossbreeding Grey, alien, you know, ET Greys with humans for their own purposes, and their purposes are to create a hybrid race because
Yeah.
they want to become more human. They want a chance of survival, and I can understand that. But their genetic engineers come down here to help us create our little life forms, and in return they get access to genetic material. This is
Yeah.
going to be sick, aborted fetuses, things like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they get that for their own purposes, and it's kind of like an ongoing thing. Human scientists maybe go up there, I don't know. It's not lovey-dovey at all. It is utility, it's an arrangement, it is business. There's nothing lovey-dovey about
Oh,
it
well,
at
that
all.
would tie in very nicely with some of the procedures you go through at the base. You get acclimatised to hostile environments.
Yeah, I mean the atmosphere,
That
you
would
could
tie
cut
in
it with a
nice.
knife.
Yeah, that would tie
Because
in nicely with that.
they
Why they
don't-
would want to do that.
You know, they don't like us, and we don't like them, and it's like we're only doing it because of what we're each going to get out of it. But the Greys, whereas the military intend to obviously get enough technology out of the Greys whereby they could actually combat the Greys and stand up to them at least, or try and obliterate them at the very worst. Whereas the Greys have sort of covered themselves by making sure that these little generated life forms, who are basically genetically related to the Greys, are programmed from the Greys' point of view too, that if it gets all too heavy, the generated life forms will turn against the military. Because at the end of the day, they're brothers, Greys and the life forms. And whereas they haven't got this individual sense of brotherhood, they've got this collective mind like ants. So you
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
they're they're not worried about sacrificing themselves, they're more like a Muslim mind, you know, or the Japanese, you know, I'll sacrifice myself for my country. The Grey will sacrifice himself for the sake of the Greys. He doesn't care because he's got no sense of fear or feeling. It doesn't matter about the individual, it matters about the collective. So from their point of view, they're quite happy. You know, it doesn't matter how many get lost because they'll just make new ones, you know, because it's like cloning. They don't have to wait 9 months.
Well, this is it. That's a very rapid procedure. Putting those
So they
teachings
don't, it's
together.
like production line time. They don't have to worry about losing numbers.
Hey, how do they work? I mean, you've got this situation where you've got Greys
Well,
walking around bases here in England.
Yeah, the generated life forms, obviously, they've got no reasoning powers of their own at a certain stage. So they're just like clones, you know, you tell them to do something, they'll go and do it. As a unit, as an army, yeah, they all will move as one. I
Work
mean,
together.
people have been reported, they've had abductions, and these things have been milling around as if they've been...
Just like Ed Walters.
Yeah, little pre-programmed drones. They've got a job to do, they'll just go and do it no
That's what they are,
matter
little
what.
workers.
That's what the PGs are doing, these life forms are doing.
PG, what's a PG?
Well, that's a program generated life form, PGLF, the whole title. But they were nicknamed PG Tips. As a,
Because the little monkeys, you know, they do anything you tell them, you know, in
Exactly,
the commercial, they mimic you.
but the ones that were freely walking around, and as I said, there was only a couple
Waddling around.
as such.
They don't walk very well, do they?
No,
They
no,
shuffle.
they seem to say with feet.
That's right, they've got problems with their feet.
Yeah, but again,
They're obsessed with
yeah, you
feet, and these
can't- you
dreams I
can't-
have about them,
yeah.
they sit on the end of the bed looking at my feet.
You
touching
can't,
them.
well, because I say, it's a bit of a shock seeing the life
Foot
forms. That was
fetishists,
one,
a lot
yes,
of them.
What are the life forms like?
Well, in one of the documents I drew, imagine, right, they're using this shell husk, so they can actually put into that whatever they want.
So some of them are part human. So you see, the Bill of Human Rights has to be amended if we're to cater for these little beings.
Yeah, but I think they'd have a hell of a
Mhm.
job doing that.
That's what my article's about, isn't it, Freud? Who's that?
So this is a generated life form.
This is a general. You can
Little
always
round
tell
eyes.
by the eyes, although large and jet black, they're circular rather than the the
And you
typically
notice
reported wraparound.
there have been some reports of greys with round eyes.
What do the greys do that are there?
Well, obviously they're assisting. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got the technology from them.
If
So-
the greys are controlled, who else is there controlling them?
Controlling the greys.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is controlling the greys as such because of this partnership we're supposed to be in with the greys, but there is this background reptilian side because there are some other weird characters around at the same time. I mean,
Have you seen those?
I've seen one, but you get again.
What sort of height are they? What do they look like?
At least a foot or so, more than that, maybe 18 inches taller than I am, so yeah, it's quite big. Yeah, quite big. And
And what
what?
do they have a uniform on? Or?
No, oh no. No, this was just wandering around with someone, because they're always with someone. They're never allowed to wander around on their own. They're always with
Little
someone.
scientist in a white coat, you know.
Well, that sort of picture, yeah, they're always
Like
with
the aerial
someone.
automatic men.
Well, that's what got me going when the two greys were walking around, because they were with 2 or 3 typical suited up gentlemen, you know, very official looking, typical CIA type person.
And how do they get to and from the bases?
But that's where all the transportation and
And what are they shipped in? White trucks, white 40-foot trucks with no markings.
oh no, what we let constantly through the gate was your average. It's that steel grey, typical United States Air Force minivan. Nothing big. No trucks. I've never seen a truck enter or leave that place in the tunnels there. Not one.
Is that because everything is transported underground to these underground tunnels?
That's quite possible. I mean, obviously I only had access to certain areas, so there would have been areas that were totally off limits to me. The filtration and what was dubbed filtration waste disposal, the 6th level, I was never allowed anywhere near that particular level.
I would have thought that it would be too risky for them to transport beings like that on by road. You know, I mean, what if there was an
Yeah,
accident
I
or
honestly
something?
couldn't comment. I wouldn't
They
know
probably
if I
would do it
couldn't comment.
underground. But then if they, and this is a big if obviously, if they have got the kind of technology whereby that they can, as in Stargate, program set of coordinates and open up a sort of, not time tunnel, but a matter into energy, beam you somewhere, and then open up the tunnel there, maybe they do it like that.
Briefly recoup what we've been saying and put any points across you'd like to finally put across.
Well, I think one thing I'd like to say is that if you're abducted, anybody out there, think again about who's abducting you, because it may not be an alien. I mean, people are reporting, not just in England, but not just in America, but in England, being abducted and taken to a military base full of human personnel. I don't mean human as in humanoid, like a beautiful blonde Pleiadian. I mean perfectly ordinary, short, dumpy military men. You know, nothing out of the ordinary at all.
So what about black helicopters and that kind of technology, holograms? I think you mentioned something about
advanced
holograms.
holograms. Yeah, they can do that. When the program stages abduction, they can either do that at the base. Again, that's in one of the electronic areas.
Is that what the trip chairs?
That's a trip C. You go through advanced, narco hypnosis, advanced holograms. They can do the whole lot there. So that person has been through a real 100% abduction experience. Or they can do it in the field. And they can use the life forms and the machines literally anywhere.
So I've been also led to believe that some of this abduction is, again, mind control. And they're doing it in the comfort of your own home, and you're never leaving your home, and you're
that
just
can
lying
happen
there in
too.
bed, and the hologram's there, or it triggers something in your mind, and you're lying there thinking you're having an abduction experience, and flying around in space and stuff, and you're just lying at home. It's like a dream-induced abduction.
So how is that technology?
Well, again, that would be an electrical implant. You'd be part of the EBL electrical network that the NSA are running. Over here, it's based at Menwith Hill, up in Yorkshire. The big NSA facility there, that's where the network runs in this country.
How
That's
big
where
is
they-
that network?
Well, the network spans the whole country. That's the network which pinpoints anyone 24 hours a day. But the EBL network, that literally,
And what does EBL stand for again?
but that's extremely low frequency electronic linking they've got. I mean, they use it in the States. The NSA have got it from coast to coast in North America, and they introduced it over here, and it's run from, as I say, Menwith Hill.
And what does it involve?
Basically, I mean, they cover it with espionage. They monitor all frequencies for spy, satellite bits and pieces. Yeah, the whole lot's actually covered in that EBL network. But within the boundaries of that, that's where this electrical implant comes into it, where they can literally monitor anyone 24 hours a day, worldwide. I know it was pretty, and it is pretty large over in the States. It's literally coast to coast. It's very, very large. Over here, obviously on a much smaller scale, but certainly it still would run into tens of thousands, and that's bad enough. There's a lot of people. A lot of people go missing. Kids as well. I mean, they use these, as I said, for genetic engineering and just for straight implantation.
So if a kid gets goes lost and then is returned to its family, it may actually...
There's a good
impact
chance
other-
that child's been tagged, yeah.
Yeah.
So you disappeared for a few days.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. How often has that happened, and what was the situation?
Well, again, I've got my conscious recall of, something happening at various times. I've been through regression hypnosis to try and fathom out what's happened to me at various times. And they've got to a certain stage, and that's it. They can't get no further. It's black right off. Can't get through.
Are you able to tell us what happened? What was the benefit?
Well, on one occasion, now that was weird, because on that particular occasion that I do recall, maybe I've been allowed to recall this one, I don't know. I had a call come in on the telephone. Yeah, I was to go and meet someone. Didn't seem that important, but I just, it was very important to me that I go and see this person. So, I just went, up and went. I didn't tell anyone where I was going, when I'd be back or nothing. I just up and went, and I didn't come back for days later. And the only memories I've got during that time is, doing a lot of travelling. I was travelling all over the place in the company of a load of people. For what purpose, I don't recall.
And you don't recall who they were?
I don't know who they were,
No.
what they were doing. No, I don't even recall where we were. It's just a hell of a lot of different locations we were going around. I know something happened to my dad when he was in the army at the end of 45. He went through some, which he'll only say is some medical procedure, and he won't speak about it other than that. 1945. When they were in Germany, they came back from Germany, and that's it. He won't say no more. Got certain information I've got to give out.
Can
I
you
think
mention any of that
stepped-
now?
Yeah, I've stepped up, I believe, to a level now where perhaps I'm beginning to frighten one or two people.
David
By
Icke.
saying what?
Well, I've actually given out in this latest document the exact names of the main people connected with the programme in this country. Like,
And how do you get that information?
that was passed to me by Defence Intelligence. They provided that information.
And you're allowed to say that?
Well, as I already have done, I must have been. It's too late now. I mean, the guy who runs Porton Down, Dr. Graham S. Pearson, is heavily connected with the programme. Well, I've actually listed all the names. Sands, Whitemore, Pachowski, Hodge.
Is there anyone
I've
called
listed the whole
Lane? Surname Lane?
Doesn't ring a bell.
So what else are you expecting to release?
Well, I think basically I've got to concentrate on, yes, what happened directly to me. I've skirted around all the edges, saying where everyone is, all the locations, all the people, and this is what they do at the base. Now I'm going to come back and say, well, this is my story as such. This is what happened to me from day one. Going into the gate for the first time, what it was like, what the place was like, what jobs I were given, and how I was treated. I mean, this manipulation program, it does tend to screw you up a little bit. I remember breaking down in tears. I literally broke down when I first started talking to Andy Collins about this 2 years ago. I said, well, look, you may have remembered me at the time in the 70s, acting kind of strange at times, psychologically a bit screwed up. Yeah.
Andy Collins is an author who's done a lot of work on
He is, yeah.
black
Orgon
magic,
energy,
orgon
black
energy,
magic, all that side of things.
and black magic conspiracies to
that's
find keys to certain...
That's right, the
Spirits,
questing, yeah, he's
the
gone around
quest.
the whole country on these quests and bits and pieces. was a good friend of mine during the 70s. We worked together a lot. And so he would have been the first to notice any change in me psychologically, and he should have known straight away. Then Roy, who was next closest. And yeah, you come away sometimes from the procedures and you are totally mixed up. You don't know who you are, what you're doing, nothing. And so we were discussing, and well, yeah, we're sort of like reminiscing, as it were, at location, and that's basically when the close encounter began. But again, as I said, that was all set up.
So that was a military close encounter?
Yeah. I mean, obviously at the time I didn't know that. In 1974 I believed it, like everyone else did, that was an actual close encounter with whatever aliens and UFOs are. So I didn't question that for years until, as I said, this information came out.
So how did the information come out? Did it sort of something trigger off? Because obviously, did you have a total memory block when you left? Did they try and erase your memory temporarily?
Oh, December 79, when I finished working at the base, yeah, things were toned down considerably. I mean, I just remembered my security duties, but nothing much else.
So essentially you were just employed on the base.
Well, there's two reasons.
Essentially to keep you there for experiments.
That was the main reason.
Is that basically the bottom line?
Basically, and that so SANS could actually keep an eye on me, so I wouldn't go out and cause mischief. Yeah, so I was there for their experimentation, and also so could be watched.
So while you're being experimented on, you might as well do a useful job of work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
British economy measure.
This is it. Yes. Actually, do a job of work. And so that's where, as I say, they issued everyone with.
So do you still have that pass as such?
Oh no. Every item is collected from you. As I said, took so many photocopies. And
so you took a photocopy of that at the time?
Yeah. Oh, I had the presence of mind to do various things. I mean, I tried keeping 2 or 3 notebooks stashed around in innocuous little areas and writing down.
That's pretty dangerous, isn't it?
Well, it is.
Have you
I didn't realise, because
Have you ever
every corridor was monitored. I didn't realise how high the
Have you
security
ever thought
was.
that somebody up there, perhaps in the hierarchy, the base hierarchy, is not in 100% favour of all this and wanted you to do it, or perhaps that you were going to be allowed to leak out disinformation or information that they wanted to come out?
Well, as I put in those documents there, if this is disinformation, they've done a bloody good job of it, because it's obviously these are the memories I've got, and nothing will change
And
them.
how does that explain me getting messages on a Ouija board? Because I mean that is a bit weird.
Yeah, well, that
isn't it?
again would be because
I've
other
had,
people
as
are
far
very,
as I know,
very
I've had
fine.
I've had no contact with military. I've never worked for anything, I've never worked for any official sources apart from the local council when it comes, looking after old people.
You've worked for the secret government?
You know what I mean? Yeah, but I mean I've never had any kind of obvious dealings with the military in this extent,
Well,
nothing like that. I've never had any dealings with hospitals really, so I don't see how the information, if it is information I'm getting rather than just messing around on a Ouija board, then it's coming from somewhere.
Somewhere, exactly. So
I don't think, it doesn't sound like, you said it wasn't the military style to use Ouija boards, was it?
not really, no.
What are these programs called, and what's the project names?
The project name in this country is Mannequin. The guy who runs it, they go by the code name of Sentinel. Sentinel is Mr. Whitemore, he's in charge. Sam's, he runs the security. He does the whole lot, and I was answerable to him, and he's just like like the Gestapo. There's Hodge, Dr. Pachowski, and of course Dr. Pearson from Porton Down. That's your main staff in this country. In the States, the NSA run from Fort Meade, Guardian, nothing to do with the Bob Exler business, which I had to point out in the document. Just coincidental that his name is known as Guardian over in the States. It's the same project, Project Mannequin. They have had a project name over the years. I mean, that was called Puppet Master. Puppet Master before they changed it to Mannequin. I mean, as I said, they've got an irony, a twist, because again, you think of it, Mannequin.
Is that because they're making a mannequin? which is
Exactly,
ma-
what
Yeah.
could play on words, I thought that's very, very apt. Is
Yeah.
mannequin. How very droll.
You know, yeah, and Puppet Master too.
Yeah,
We've got a sci-fi out called that, haven't we? All about these aliens controlling people. You know, and stuff.
So is there any way that you can tell if there were these people walking about that they were?
Well, if they're still under 100% control, there's no way. They wouldn't know themselves, and I certainly wouldn't have no way of
I mean,
knowing.
you said on the phone that recently this situation was getting out of control.
Yeah. By
Is
the
it- is
sheer numbers of people that are being controlled, yeah.
Are you talking about people being controlled or the alien crossbred being controlled?
Well, I can't
Or
actually say...
have the lunatics taken over the asylum? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if the lunatics have taken over the asylum, then, well... Certainly, yeah, there's more and more people being controlled by that electronic network. That's a fact. In the States, very large amounts. Over here, it's growing every day. Well, as I said again from the
We're going
beginning,
wild over it now.
I'll gladly submit to any professionally administered test to verify what I'm saying, whether it be hypnosis, lie detector, truth serum, whatever. I'd submit to any of that, providing it's done professionally.
The pair of you have been able to agree on a lot of things, but how close are you? I mean, if you haven't, is this the first
This
time
is the
you've met?
first time
yeah,
we've
first time we
met.
met, yeah.
Basically, I didn't know anything about Barry King other than that he ran the Chelmsford branch of London UFO Studies. When I first contacted London UFO Studies, I sort of kind of told Roy a lot of what happened in my life, and he didn't comment on it. You know, he probably thought I wasn't ready, or he thought he had to check me out more. And he was like, there was like an air of caution, which I can quite understand. And he didn't sort of like straight away, I met him go into the Barry King situation. Yes, it's the fact that I had contacted Anthony Pike, but with regards to finding out about bases in Berkshire, I mentioned something that, like I said, came off the Ouija board. Is there a base in Berkshire? And he just, basically, it was like, yes, but there are bases everywhere. He didn't go into details. It was because I was phoning him up about revelations, you know, because he's a religious man. I was actually talking to him about the religious side, because that's the side that fascinates me.
So have you had a lot of telephone conversations?
Well, recently we have, but the only way I first started talking to Barry was, like I said, I went in for a test to become an investigator for London UFO Studies, and Barry was quite impressed with the test, and he phoned me up to say, well done, you know, and we basically, it was just a sort of like chat, wasn't it? That's
Yeah.
all it was, really. You know, it was nothing deep or anything. We didn't go into this kind of thing, and it was recently I started getting this non-stop dreams, you know, Ouija boards, feelings, just Berkshire, flipping heck, you know, it's bombarding me. I was going out of my mind with it. I wanted to talk to people about it. I didn't phone Pike because I got a phone Pike and I'm on the phone for 3 hours, and I just get about his wife going off to a women's hostel, and
Yeah.
you know, I didn't want to phone Anthony, bless him, I like him, but you know, I didn't want to get into all this because, I mean, you know, he tends to see the aliens as being gods anyway, and I don't, so we disagree on certain points. I didn't phone him. So I phoned Roy, and Roy, again, he didn't say anything about Barry, probably because he didn't know if Barry wanted him to say anything about him. I phoned Maria Ward. She confirmed some of the things I'd got, some of the messages I've got, but she didn't know anything about the Berkshire base. And I phoned Barry really as a last resort, because, I mean, I only know a few people in ufology, and that's one that you, Miles, you now, Barry, Roy, Tony Dodd I need to speak to twice, so I would certainly not phone him because I don't know him well enough, and I wouldn't bother him with it. You know, and Anthony Pike, and these are the only people I really know, Maria Ward, and I've only really met them through Roy. So Roy was the first person I ever phoned, because I had a sort of no-no about ever getting in touch with anybody else, any other groups. It was like, no, you can't do it. You'll know when it's the right group to contact, and Roy was the right group. So then I started phoning Barry, and I said, do you know anything about this? Because Barry had reviewed my book for the Skylink magazine, and I told him, I said, this is how I see the situation. And I was going on about the greys and how a lot of the abductions aren't being done by ET greys, and that's something I've eluded from my book, I've left out from my book. And I think I've been getting a psychic bollocking, really, for leaving that out. So, you know, and I was saying, it's just dawned on me, basically, that most of these abductions have nothing to do with aliens, not directly. Indirectly, yes, because, I mean, it all is, you know, but indirectly, they're not. And I said, do you know anything about this? And then we started talking about the Berkshire base, and I started getting my messages from Fahan, because he was back there for a little while, you know, and it sort of came out, and I was nagging him on the board to give me more information, which he was giving me reluctantly, because he's only allowed to give out a certain level of information, because I think he gets bollocked by the Council of Elders or something.
Who the
So
hell-
everyone gets bollocked by somebody else.
Who's the Council of Elders?
Oh, I'm not going into that because it may not be true, but, you know, it's just what the board tells me. His hierarchy, he's like, you know, the little people who run whatever he works for.
So do you think there's a two-pronged information thing? We've got information
Yeah.
coming from the
Well-
intelligence agencies here, and we've got information coming from...
That would seem to be the
Yeah.
case. Yeah.
And because a lot of what I said now, Barry, you know, obviously he didn't know me from Adam, really.
Yeah, well, I actually said to Roy,
He's never
Don't-
shown me any of the...
don't
yeah.
let Lisa see any of the voice files, for God's sake. I'm waiting
I haven't
to
seen them
see
even now.
what else she's coming out with. I thought, play it cool. And, oh, yeah, sorry. Play it cool. If she asks to see any, say no for now, because I want her to come through with some information that can be verified with what I've already written about. Yeah, okay, no problem with that.
Because I actually started getting the hump. Thinking, well, if I'm coming out with this anyway, why can't I read this stuff?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you see, from his point of view, he wants me to verify what he's saying, because he's got mainly, perhaps, human sources. From my point of view, I wanted to know that what I was coming out with wasn't just my imagination, a load of bull, madness, insanity, call it what you will. I wanted to know somebody else had this from another source. So each of us is trying to confirm it for the other one. He's more concerned about whether I'm some kind of, you know, gook or something, or some kind of, you know, spanner in the works, or whether I'm legit, and I'm more concerned that I'm not a nutcase. So we're both trying to sort of protect ourselves. So I mean, to this day, I haven't seen any of The Voice. I'm not on the mailing list, nothing like that. You know, and I don't really mind not seeing it, to be quite honest.
So Barry, what do you think of what Lisa's saying?
Yeah, well, that's okay. As I said, after getting through this process of checking out, making sure she was legit and wasn't either being passed information by certain people who were already in receipt of The Voice, I thought, well, that's certainly one way someone could be feeding her information by telephone or by post. Get this, and next time you speak to him, say this and say that, see what he says. Going through a process of elimination, thinking, well, yeah, either someone's feeding her information or she is really getting it through. And I thought, well, okay, I've got to, like I'm hoping people are trusting me, I've got to trust other people. Go with my senses, yeah, she's getting the information through. So that's how I've rested it so far.
Because, I mean, I'll be totally honest, the only way I knew anything about Barry's involvement with the Berkshire-based price or all this was just a passing comment from, because I run a group with Mensa, something about a tape that you'd once made or something, but I certainly didn't see it. Or you know, I didn't know where you could buy it from, and I wasn't really interested at the time, because I started off in all this because I thought it was aliens. I tried not to look at the government involvement because I didn't like it, you see, because I like the idea of aliens. I think it's interesting, it's fascinating, it's exciting, but governments, I mean, God, I can take or leave governments, they're always pissing about with the public anyway. I wanted something new, you know, so I was more fascinated in the ET side. But I was always, that's why I never watched Montauk, because it didn't interest me. You know, I mean, it's common knowledge that governments do all kinds of things behind people's backs. I didn't see why I had to bother myself with it. What I wanted to know was how the cosmic hierarchy worked. That's how it interests me. Even what God, the real God is, you know, the Ehaya. I wanted to know everything like that. So I was forced into this. I wasn't particularly interested in it, but I was getting I had a whole week of sleepless nights. So every time I was asleep, I was dreaming about bloody Greys telling me about flipping Berkshire, you know? So I really was thrown into it.
So do you think that the bases here have any connection with Montauk? Do you think Montauk itself...
Well, I don't know, because...
have you read have you seen the film?
I've seen the film, yeah, I haven't read the book.
Do you think that's...
Well, I'm not 100% convinced with that. The story I find very, very hard to swallow. One last thing, Wackenhut. Groom Lake. The Camo Dunes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a private security?
That's a private security. Yeah, they're the actual ones that do the security around the whole Area 51 area.
Wow.
That's all Wackenhut Corporation. And
It's got your address on it and everything.
I was contacted 5 years ago. Yeah. They wanted me to be a security supervisor in London for a specific job, but they wouldn't say what specific job it meant. And it involved a lot of travelling, so that would have been quite fun. I turned them down.
That was interesting. Okay.
Right.
Well, thanks very much.
Okay.
Hey.
Go and have a pint.
Oh yeah, let's make a move for the pub.